some of the most crazy foolishness I have ever seen on Road Tripping. It first starts, Kendrick Perkins is trying to make the claim that players in today's game have to deal with adversity that may be on par with what Bill Russell had to deal with in the 50s.
Editor at ESPN, Kevin Merida, I believe is how you pronounce that, wrote in the Wall Street Journal last week saying Bill Russell should be the GOAT because of, quote, degree of difficulty, winning 11 championships while facing death threats in Boston. So my question to you guys is, should off-court adversity factor into these debates? Should we be looking just beyond stats?
Also, just as a quick sidebar before we go, I'm be honest with y'all, that's not a bad take.
Here's my thing. I would never take what the guys, Bill Russells, and what they had to go through for us to be able to perform at a high level, Allie, or even be in the NBA, right? For the NBA to even exist. I wasn't there. But I will say everyone's had their own form of adversity. Back then, it was racism and death threats, right? But having to battle through the adversity of fucking social media as a player elevates right up into there when you talk about mental toughness.
Man, nah, this is a bad take. Brother, this is a bad take. This is a bad take. And Richard Jefferson's face alone lets you know how bad of a take it is.
Nah, Richard, hear me out. I get it. Like, people lives were on the line. But, like, mental health is a real thing. And, like, we see so many guys logging off of social media, right? John Wall, like, talked about, like, how he wanted to commit suicide. Like, it's a real thing. So everybody's affected in a different way. I'm not trying to put the two together. All I'm saying is, this day and age, a lot of these guys are dealing with their own form of adversity, right? And people could say, oh, they just soft or stay off of social media. You know how fucking hard it is to stay off of social media?
Not that hard.
I want to know. You go glance at social media at least one time a day. RJ?
I'm not disputing that. There
was a tsunami that still is on its way. That's not funny at all. And the first thing we do is what? Pick up our social media. Where's it at? What's going on? What's the latest?
No disrespect to that young woman. I'm not about to hear a white woman try to piggyback off this take. I want to start by saying this. Yes, there is adversity that everyone faces. To even dare compare, however, the adversity that is seen in today's world in contrast to what was going on in the 40s, 50s, and 60s as a black man in America is a joke. I want everyone to understand, Bill Russell refused to play in St. Louis because he was in fear of what would happen to him if he played for the Hawks. Not in fear of what was going to be said about him. We're talking about black men were losing their lives. Of course, it was mental anguish that was going on at that time as well, dealing with certain forms of discrimination that extended all the way to someone putting shit in your bed, which happened to Bill Russell. They would drive up to a hotel as they traveled and try to get off the bus and house with some of his teammates and literally could not do it because the hotel was segregated. Or when Bill Russell was not only receiving multiple death threats from white people, but also got his back turned backs from black people as well because he was dealing with a white woman. All you have to do is a smidgen, a little bit, a teensy bit of researching, and you would immediately know that it's night and day. It is night and day. They were playing at a point in time where people were losing their lives, getting beaten, discriminated against, and you are there comparing that to opening up your phone and voluntarily surfing through social media. There was no turning that off. There was no taking a break from that. This is a horrible take. Like, genuinely a horrible take. The same nigga that perpetuated Joel Embiid's MVP on racist narratives, by the way. I agree with that as well. This is an NBA champion. Not only an NBA champion, this is an NBA champion who played for the Celtics. You, of all people, should know. Speaking of Adam Jones, here's Boston legend Bill Russell on racism in Boston. Also, y'all don't know this. Bill Russell, after he retired, he didn't even live in Boston. Initially, however, I had the same reservation about Dr. King that I had about the Vietnam War. The white people in Boston liked him, and so I knew something must be wrong. To me, Boston itself was a flea market of racism. It had all varieties, old and new, and in their most vitriol form. The city had corrupt City Hall crony racists, brick throwing, and send them back to Africa racism. Jesus Christ.
No one is watching television no more.
This is what I would say. I don't believe in GOAT debates. I don't believe in them. I think that there are, just because I think that, like Perk said, every group had their own level of adversity, right? Everybody had their own level of this. So I don't want to get into, well, we got to add this into the equation when we're talking about our GOATs. Like Bill Russell's jersey is retired in the league. What are we talking about? His jersey is retired, right? And so when you look at that right there is your legacy if you're Bill Russell. I do struggle a little bit, Perk, and I'll push it back. Sundown towns, not being able to stay in certain hotels, not being able to go in certain restaurants with your teammates, having to travel and do these other things. I won't compare that struggle of people that walked.
I wasn't trying to compare.
No, that's what I'm just saying. I'm just saying, I believe that, yes, what the person was saying, what that person from the Wall Street Journal was saying is that it's very similar to what Jackie Robinson had to deal with.
You literally said being on social media now is up there with what they were dealing with in the 50s and 60s. That's literally what you said. So I don't know what you're talking about, brother.
And he was the person that had to deal with these things, and he should be celebrated, because if not for his contributions and tolerance and patience, like, it could have pushed certain situations back. So I'll say this. There is no GOAT debate with Bill Russell. He is the GOAT, and there are other GOATs. He is. And that's the thing about basketball and its complexity is, like, you talk about as Babe Ruth, the greatest baseball player of all time, but he didn't have to play. It was still a segregated league. So he didn't have to play against pitchers and African Americans. And the reason why they started the Negro Leagues is because they weren't allowed to play. So you have Babe Ruth hitting all of these home runs, and that's not to diminish his greatness, but was he playing against the best players in the world? The facts say no. It is factual that Babe Ruth was not playing against, even if you're just excluding 8% of the best players in the world, 10%, 5%. If you are excluding those players, you are just factually not playing against the best players in the world. So Bill Russell is a GOAT. NBA is one of the rare sports where we have multiple GOATs over multiple generations with multiple levels of importance to the game of basketball and its survival, whether it's Bill Russell, Dr. J in the conversion of the ABA and the NBA, Magic and Larry, Michael, Shaq and Kobe. Then you go LeBron and Steph and KD. We've always had these players that have dominated their era at a level that we've never seen, and they'll never play against each other. So we can look at, look at Bob Cousy compared to Kyrie. And you're like, no, that's not how it works. Bob Cousy dominated every point guard out there and won 9 championships. He was the baddest man on the planet.
No, he was. Oh, man, we ain't gotta lie, though. We can give him his credit. We ain't gotta lie, though.
The time. And over the last 60 years, the game has evolved where now you have Kyries and players like that. So it's like, make no mistake, if you were the most dominant of your era, and it's not saying that you were the most physically talented or skilled basketball player of all time.
That's the first thing. They're yapping now. The second thing was
T-Mac, the most
where they were trying to argue who was the most talented player to not win a championship. Because for whatever reason, we still gotta talk about this. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and I'm gonna like spoil a little bit what's going to happen in here. But I just gotta say, I am blown away by how many NBA players either ignore or are not aware of what Karl Malone did. Like, genuinely speaking, I am floored. Yeah, because Pat Bev, where's that clip at? Pat Bev was just like, whoa, I didn't know that. Whoa, I didn't know he did this and that and yada yada. I'm like, bro, how do y'all not know this?
About when Karl Malone gets included on teams like this.
I like it. I mean, I think he's top 20 greatest players to play.
You think Karl Malone is? But what about his off the court stuff? You know, does that factor in at all?
I really don't know a lot of off the court stuff about Karl Malone.
He got a 13-year-old pregnant. Timeout? You need a timeout? A 30-second?
No, fool.
Full?
I need a fucking full timeout. You wait a second. I have a question.
Talk to me.
When you said 13-year-old pregnant, was he 16?
I think it was a grown-up. Let's check. He was 20 and he got a 13-year-old pregnant. That doesn't seem cool to me.
Wow. I didn't.
The kid did go on to go to the I think the NFL. Demetrius Bell was his name, but I don't think Karl Malone was in his life at all, and he said he treats it like his mom went to the sperm bank.
I want you all to imagine that not only are you a weirdo for getting a 13-year-old pregnant, and then going on to make millions of dollars and never once actually taking care of the minor and your child. You're weird, my nigga. You are a scumbag. You're a piece of shit, my nigga. That then brings us to this conversation, because I don't know why, but RJ started, I don't want to say caping, but like being very disingenuous about who Karl Malone was.
talented player to never win in your eyes? T-Mac, the most talented player to never win in your eyes?
Oh, not even close.
That is also true. It, genuinely speaking, is not even close. No, it's not. The player, the most talented player to never win a championship, I guess technically speaking, it'd be like Luka or something like that. But we're talking about like retired players. If you don't think Elgin Baylor, if you don't think Elgin Baylor is he's won a championship, I'll say Elgin Baylor before Tracy McGrady or even Karl Malone. You can even get to the point where you're saying James Harden as well.
Not even close. Not even close. One of the most T-Mac's only a year older than me. He was a high school class in front of me. I got to the league and I thought I was athletic. I thought I was fucking this. Like,
Let us know how good he was. Yeah.
Put me toe to toe with anybody. And I'm not saying that better than. I'm like, you know, I can hold my own. T-Mac was a different monster. T-Mac was 6'9.5", 6'10", long, handled it like a guard, was stronger than you think, wanted that smoke, had all of the skill, all of the stuff. There's not many people. I'm talking about when I was 23, I thought I was fucking Superman. There was probably only 5 or 6 guys that I felt like could actually jump with me. I kid you not, there was a ball hits off the rim, pops straight up, me and T-Mac like it was a jump ball. I jump up, go to grab it 99.9% of the time in my life. I have grabbed that ball, high school, college, like that was a chance. T-Mac was a hand over me, grabbed it and just looked at me. Like trying to make you feel small. He like did
That's
it.
like some Space Jam shit.
That's what I'm saying. Because we were both just right there, blah, blah, jump up. Like, oh, I got this. And he just swooped it and looked at me because he knew what he did. He was like, oh, you're athletic? I'm different.
I will say this: T-Mac is a very different athlete.
T-Mac is a top 10, probably a top 10 basketball talent ever, honestly. Think about it. He's more talented than Kobe. Talent. You can get all upset all you want to. Obviously, I know Kobe's better than him. He's more talented. He is. I
say that with all the respect to T-Mac, but if we start going down the line of people that have never won it, he's one of the most talented players ever, but there is a lot more. There are MVPs that ain't won it. Like, so let's slow our roll.
I'm gonna tell you this. To me, it's Charles Barkley And it's not even close. It's Charles Barkley. It's not 6'5", 6'6", playing the power forward. Charles Barkley was ahead of his time. Charles Barkley had that motherfucker on the string, the handles, the step backs. Like, think about what he had to do.
Man, what the fuck? Nigga, what?
You didn't like his palm dribbling? You didn't like that?
Man, nigga, he had it on a string. Charles Barkley had the ball on a string, my nigga. Be serious. No, we gotta be fucking serious right now.
Hey, you see the Hesse pull up?
Chad, we gotta lock the fuck in right now. A nigga saying that Charles Barkley had the ball on the string, that Hesse with the step back? Man, no, nigga. He was just grossly athletic for a nigga his size. He should never have been that athletic, but say he had the ball on a string is, we gassing that right now.
I think his career average is like 22 and 11 for his career when it comes down to points and rebounds. And he was going against monsters. Like, he was a monster, but I'm talking about the 7-footers he had to go against, the guys that were defending him, the bag. Like, people, Charles Barkley had a bag. Like, I'm talking about.
Oh, no! Is a bag post-ups? Illegal defense post-ups? Is that what a bag is?
Not too much on Sir Charles.
A deep-ass bag when it came down to his offensive skill set. You know, and me and Chuck, we didn't had our little beef and whatever, and we didn't got it together. But I'm just saying, if I'm just giving my overall view and we talk about power forwards or talented guys, to me it's Charles Barkley. 6'4", 6'5", the shit that he was doing at that height, giving people that work. The only reason that he doesn't have a championship is because fucking Jordan was in his way.
Okay, this is like this new phenomenon. It's like no new phenomenon. It's something I've acknowledged that I'm getting sick and tired of. But we have to stop talking about basketball in this Jordan Kobe centric way, where like the only time or the only years that we reference someone is when they played up against Jordan or Kobe or played with Jordan or Kobe. That shit has to stop. To sit here and to say that someone who has played over a decade's time, over 10 years, the only reason why you don't have a championship is because of Michael Jordan? Nigga, stop, bro. That man played in the NBA for a very, very long time. And what always bothers me is that Jordan wasn't winning every single year because there was a nigga who squeaked out not one but 2 championships during the 90s. Not one but 2. 2. So no, bro. Y'all, in a row. Y'all gotta stop that shit, bro. We gotta stop talking about basketball in a Jordan Kobe centric way. That's Jesus.
This is what I would say. Yes, I can see that. The reason why I would pick Karl Malone over Charles is because the level of professionalism that Karl Malone always approached. Karl Malone also had a top 5 point guard, wherever you want to rank him in.
Oh my God!
And John Stockton next to him.
Not even getting to the point.
No. I'm not. We're not doing that. We're not doing.
No, I'm saying my mentions. I'm tired of my mentions blowing up on this.
This is what I'm.
It's so odd to me. Okay, so again, let's go back to this conversation about, like, if you want to say Karl Malone, I guess fine, but to like argue the differentiator between the two is that one was professional off the court versus on. I'm going to give Richard Jefferson the biggest benefit of the doubt that he's referring to the professionalism off the court that would then translate to how you played on the floor. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to, that Charles Barkley wasn't always healthy. But I just find it odd. Again, I just want y'all to really think about this. Apparently, Karl Malone, who these people are now saying, and I agree, is like near top 20. If you're taking everything out and you're talking about just basketball, a fringe top 20 player playing alongside a top 5 point guard of all time, apparently to Richard Jefferson, and you're telling me that team couldn't at bare minimum make the conference finals every single fucking year? There is no world we live in where that wouldn't be the standard and expectations for anyone else in those situations. We sit here and call Russ and KD in their time in OKC failures, but they made the conference finals every year that they were healthy from 2011 onwards. Every single year. LeBron, Wade, conference finals bare minimum, or NBA finals bare minimum every single year. Every year. Shaq and Kobe from 2000 up until 2003, or 2004, excuse me, made it to the finals every year except for one season.
So when I look at Karl Malone with Charles, when he was in Philly, he was in and out of shape, and then he would, some of his, off the court partying that we knew about, and we, throwing guys. I'm saying Charles was a rebel. He's not a role model, so I'm not taking shots at him.
Oh no, this is actually just worse than what it is. So now he's talking about things that actually have nothing to do with basketball. He's talking about throwing a nigga out of the window. That has nothing to do with basketball. Okay, so now you're now you just talking about anything, and now you're talking about role models, brother. I can't say this line. That'll be a crazy line. That's a crazy line. I'll say this. Charles Barkley being fat, out of shape, throwing people through windows, I rather that than what Karl Malone did. And if you are talking about the things in which Charles Barkley did off the court, that in all honesty, some of the things you're referencing has nothing to do with his play. Maybe him being out of shape results in his play. Okay, cool. But you're talking about him throwing somebody out of the window. That has nothing to do with his play. That's not affecting his play at all. Brother, if that's what's preventing you from having these conversations and that's the professionalism that you're referring to, bro, Karl Malone is the most unprofessional nigga that I know of in NBA history. And this is shit I be sitting here talking about, that professionalism argument that Isaiah Thomas was talking about not too long ago because LeBron had his shirt off, practicing in a gym, talking about professionalism while y'all was in a league with a nigga who had sex with a minor, impregnated her, and then would go on to be a deadbeat despite him earning generational wealth. That nigga alone, disgusting. And the fact that we even talk about him in any positive light outside of basketball is fucking ridiculous. I don't know how we got to this point where we are just casually overlooking what the fuck that nigga did. I don't know how we got to that point. Like, at all. I have zero idea how that happened.
But I'm saying when you look at a guy like Karl Malone, who trained for 8 hours a day, he played for 19 years, he was second in scoring, and if his body would have held up, he probably would have been the all-time leading scorer. So from when I look at the best player to not win a championship, I'm going to put Karl Malone as number one just because his professional approach was trying to maximize every bit of his talent for a lot of years. That's why his longevity was greater. That's why his health was greater. That's why his consistency was greater in Karl Malone. So when when I say that Charles is talented and all this stuff, but for a guy like Karl Malone who was running hills and doing all that stuff every day, trying to maximize it.
And fucking minors. Look, bro. Like, if you're going to talk about throwing a nigga out of the window, I'm sorry. No, my nigga. No. Fucking 12-year-olds. Nigga was doing all this professionalism, but he couldn't at one point decide to be in his child's life. Not once, not one time. All that running up and down the hill, keeping himself in shape, but didn't decide to send any money to his kids? Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, cool. Malone will always be a nasty fuck. He'll always be a nasty fuck. And anybody talking about professionalism, no, my nigga, no. There's more?
Versus a guy like Charles who had a bit of a reputation of a go out, play, talent guy. Karl Malone was about his business. He worked his ass off and just wasn't able to get it down.
Also having sex with minors. I don't know, bro. I like, dog, like, you know what's so funny too? What's so crazy about like the whole situation is that Karl Malone can't even avoid what happened. You know, we live in a world now where everybody likes to sit here and has like this like, did this really actually happen? Oh, it's social media, it's cancel culture that's trying to really avoid it. No, we know for a fact this nigga has sex with a minor, my nigga. We know for a fact. Yeah, there's DNA proof. So no, bro. And what Mara said is true. I have to use the terminology having sex because I can't use the other word because this video will be, shadow banned. But unfortunately to people, the terminology having sex with a minor is not a real terminology. He took advantage of one. That's what he did. He took advantage of one as an adult. That's what he did. So talking about professionalism off the floor, no, that right there was two terrible takes, which I believe in the same podcast. That might be the worst podcast episode in road trip in history.